Good morning, y'all. Welcome to Morning Coffee. We got a few things to talk about today. And y'all know we usually start with the Diddy trials, but I'm going to get into that actually second. I first want to start with Kendrick Lamar and his concert in Toronto last night. So if y'all don't know, Kendrick Lamar and SZA are on the GNX tour. The GNX tour finally touched down in Toronto. So if you don't know, Drake calls himself the Sixth God because he's from Canada and Toronto. So Kendrick Lamar and SZA touched down in Toronto yesterday for the GNX tour. And friends, when I tell you, it feels like people gonna say that K. Dot is not letting up off Drake's neck, but I'm trying to explain to people that at this point, K. Dot is not on Drake's neck. Kendrick is not on his neck. It just is what it is because Drake was such a sore loser about losing the rap battle. Like, Kendrick already won. He won last year. It was clipped, you know what I'm saying? It was already a done deal. But the problem is that Drake kept making a thing about it and refused to accept the fact that he just lost. So it's like, now it's like, it's not even beef no more. It's literally just Kendrick Lamar performing. And the song has already made history. Like, the song, Not Like Us, is for the culture. Now, GNX in and of itself, is an incredible album and it stands out. But Not Like Us has made so many waves that it's like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. But I'm going to play for y'all. I'm going to play the audio real quick for y'all of the crowd going crazy yesterday at the Kendrick Lamar GNX concert during the most important parts of the song. So here's the audio that was heard last night in Toronto, Drake's hometown. Hold on, let me see. Yo, the way they held A minor gave me Super Bowl vibes. Like, it gave me reenactment of the Super Bowl. And I loved it because I felt like it really ate down. And I know Drake was crashing out somewhere. I know he was punching air. So let me also tell you why Drake was probably crashing out. So some of Drake's fans, which I think he probably, started this whole thing for them to do, in my personal opinion, because it gives light-skinned behavior. But I think there were some Drake fans who said they were going to be outside of the GNX concert protesting during the Toronto concerts, and that they were going to have OVO hoodies. They were going to be blasting Drake's music, only Drake's music, from the loudest speakers that they have, and that they were giving away free pizza, and it was crickets. It was crickets. And if they were there, nobody seen them. In and out like a thief in the night. But protesting GNX, protesting Kendrick Lamar when the world is in shambles right now is insane. Using your good protesting to come against Kendrick Lamar because Drake lost a rap battle is nuts. And obviously all of Toronto felt the opposite because they was all in there screaming, trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor. So I don't know. So there's that. I just feel like it's going to continue to be Drake L and Kendrick Lamar W. I feel like there's no moving on because Drake dragged it when he tried to sue hip hop. He dragged it when he tried to say Kendrick Lamar couldn't say certified lover boy, certified pedo. He dragged it then. He said defamation of character, tried to file all these lawsuits. Now it's just funny. Because at this point, he should have just let it die out. And the truth is that they were spewing hate back and forth. So you made a thing of it and it was a rap beef. And now nobody takes you seriously across the globe, even your own people. Good morning. Even your own people. So it's like, at some point, you know, this is, I don't know. At some point, you got to take responsibility for your actions. But yeah, that's where we're at. That was the K Dot concert last night. They ate down, and of course, I'm mad I couldn't go to the concert. But y'all, I told y'all I'm a recent entrepreneur. I ain't got no money for no Kendrick Lamar and this is a concert. But I heard the concert was fuego every single time. Oh, and something I did not mention was that it was reported that Toronto was one of the top 5 cities to sell out the fastest when the GNX concert tickets came out. And it was the top 5 when the GNX concert came out, and it sold out like almost immediately. So yikes. You know what I'm saying? Yikes. Second thing, Diddy Trial. Let's get into the Diddy Trial real quick. We're gonna keep the thing brief. Jane Doe, who is Diddy's ex, that is going by a pseudonym. She finished up her testimony on a stand yesterday after like 6 or 7 days, I believe. There's a few things that are important to take away. So one is that there's a big name rapper. Let's talk about the big name rapper. So Jane Doe testified to the fact that a large part of why her and Diddy got into that fight, that physical altercation that she explained, where she hit his head into the cabinet, he chased her and was kicking down doors, and she was hiding from him for like 2 hours in her neighborhood. She went more in depth yesterday, and the reason that fight happened allegedly is because Jane Doe, when Diddy and Jane Doe were on a break, Jane Doe went to allegedly, there was another really big name rapper who is really close with Diddy. And Jane Doe flew on a private jet with that big name rapper and his significant other to essentially a freakoff. And at that freakoff, one of the male escorts that she used to deal with, the one that's named Anton, was at that freakoff, and people were watching him be intimate with a woman. Now, Jane Doe was with that big name rapper and his significant other. The big name rapper allegedly asked Jane Doe to get freaky with her. And then she basically didn't tell us whether or not she got freaky, but she said she flashed her, her chest area to the whole party. Now, the defense team wanted Jane Doe to have to say who the big name rapper was. They wanted to force Jane Doe to say the name because they felt like it was relevant. And they're trying to paint a picture of Jane Doe as a gold digger, basically saying that she's enjoying freak-offs and that she's only doing this with big name rappers and celebrities with names because she wants to, have a name for herself. But the prosecution team said that it wasn't relevant and that they needed to protect the identity of the rapper. And the judge ruled that they weren't going to share the name of the rapper. Now, people have been speculating, and I see us in the comments speculating. And I'm going to do something I usually don't do. And I think that some people were saying that it was Jay-Z and Beyonce. Absolutely not. Beyonce's not going to nobody's freak off. I think we just need to move on from that. And we saw in the text messages with Cassie where they were supposed to be hanging out with Beyonce one time and Diddy wanted to do a freak off, and Cassie said that she told Beyonce not to come. So we know Beyonce wasn't having that. So we should probably leave her out of this. I think it was Kanye West. That's my personal belief. And again, this goes to why he's been crashing out for so long prior to this moment, because I think that people realize that things about Kanye West realized that he could potentially come up in this lawsuit or in this criminal trial. And this was a moment where it possibly could have happened. And I'm sure that Kanye West has done things very similar to Diddy and is just not on trial for it yet. So that's my personal opinion. I try to keep the identities anonymous that people say, but I personally believe it was Kanye West. Now, the other thing that's important is that people are continuing to say, or the defense team's their strategy this entire time was to try to make Jane Doe seem like she was a gold digger and that she was after famous people. Now, it also is being said that her baby father is somebody rich and in the industry. We're not going to say who or name who she might be. But I think the defense team is trying to align with this narrative that she essentially is like trying to find big name celebrities. And because she went to a freak off without Diddy, they're trying to paint a picture that she actually enjoyed the freak offs. And they show text messages of her telling some of the male escorts that she missed them. I don't really know if Jane Doe was the greatest I don't know if she was a really good witness on the stand for the prosecution team. Now, I do think the prosecution team did a good job at landing the plane when they shared messages from her to Diddy saying, I really didn't want to do this. I just wanted to keep you happy. And that I feel like I'm being used for these things. Now, what also came out is that at a point, though Jane Doe did not sue, Diddy in a civil lawsuit, she did ask him for $100,000. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Diddy initiated that conversation by saying, like, what do I owe you? Because she said you ruined these years of my life, blah, 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 blah. And I think she did ask him for $100,000, but she never took the civil lawsuit route. And Diddy had been trying to send messages and things like that to cover up what I guess he knew was coming, because after the Cassie video came out, he kept sending her messages like, is this coercion? I love you. I didn't know you didn't want to do this, blah, 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 blah. So that's the long of the short with that. But they're essentially trying to say that she's a gold digger and that she wanted to take him for his money. And she essentially was like, okay, well, he essentially was like, well, no. And then they continued to deal with each other all the way up until the month before he got arrested. And so the defense team is trying to say, like, was she really being forced into doing these things? But it still seems like she was forced, even if, and to be quite honest, you can't, and this is the problem, this is where the lines get kind of gray. Somebody could be interested in participating in the lifestyle, and maybe they are into the lifestyle, but you can still force somebody to do things against their own will. People have this idea that if someone is in any way sexually active or whatever it is, or participating in something, that means that they can't say no or deny the advances of someone or something. And that doesn't work that way, right? Like, she could have been into the lifestyle, all the things, but if she told Diddy that she didn't want to do those things with him and other escorts, which she has said on many occasions, then that's the end of the story. And I also will say something that the defense team also tried to do. It seems like Jane Doe may have hit Diddy first in that altercation that they had. And so they tried to paint a picture of her as the initial aggressor because she hit him first. And he said something to the extent of, why are you trying to get my kids taken away from me? And he was suggesting that she was only doing this because the recent Cassie video had came out, and he felt like she was trying to bandwagon on that. And then after all of that, after she was bloodied and bruised, he told her that she needed to call Anton over and that she had to perform on Anton, the male escort, even after they had this huge altercation. So there's that. Oh, and the last thing that was really important was that they quoted Diddy saying, well, she quoted Diddy saying to her, how could you go and have a freak off with another man? How could you go to another man's freak off? Which to me sounds crazy. But he essentially asked her, how could you go to another man's freak off? And that's what escalated their whole incident with the physical altercation. So there's that. So that's crazy. I can't believe anybody would say that out loud. But that's that on the Diddy trials for now. More to come.